about Will Ramos for a second. Why do people like the dude so fucking much? Because in terms of blowing up, there are a few frontmen in the modern era that have reached the same amount of acclaim as Will Ramos. The only people who have even come remotely close is Oliver Sykes of Bring Me the Horizon in the past couple of decades, or Sam Carter from Architects. It is rare to see someone that really blows up in this way. Maybe Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box. But let's be honest, a lot of that is just because a bunch of horny metalheads are like ooga booga boobs. I want to go over some of the reasons that I think Will Ramos has built up so much acclaim, not only as a musician, but also just as a person in the metal community. And the first thing, and I think this is the absolute biggest thing, and I think it transcends anything that he has done musically with Lorna Shore, he has stayed so connected with the community. He really cares about fans. He is constantly collaborating with people. He's constantly appearing in videos with people, in interviews, answering fan questions, and appearing in places that you don't necessarily anticipate. He doesn't have an air of pretentiousness to him, and he remains very humble in how he talks about the music that he performs in and Lorna Shore's popularity. He really doesn't seem to take himself that seriously with some of the things he does with like vocal covers and having fun. He is just infectious in the way he comes across when interacting with his fans, and sort of that parasocial relationship dynamic that people can develop with any sort of celebrity, I think has extended to Will Ramos, which is something you don't see often with band members, because there are so many bands that we really do love, and unless you're a diehard or you've heard it mentioned in an interview or a blog post, you probably can't name all of the lead vocalists of some of the bands that you really enjoy, because they remain in a way faceless and nameless. They don't really attach themselves to the band itself or to the audience themselves. They're a nameless and faceless entity in a sense, just like every other band member, creating sort of like cogs in a machine, a wheel turning to make the music. They don't really make a relationship with the fans, and that's perfectly fine if that is what floats your boat and you want to make it your art form and nothing else. But Will Ramos' ability to connect with audiences and to appear in these videos and to really live it up and really care about the people that have blown Lorna Shore up, it shows. And I think the second thing, and this probably is the most important thing, but I'm putting it behind the other, his fucking personality. He is just a really likable, humorous dude. He has such a great sense of humor. He's not afraid to be goofy, and he definitely does speak to, I would say, this generation of metalcore and deathcore listeners. Back in the 2000s and 2010s, it was easy for a lot of kids that were growing up in that time period, people like myself, to latch on to people like Mitch Lucker of Suicide Silence and Oliver Sykes of Bring Me the Horizon, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. But nowadays, you gotta understand, we're talking a decade, 2 decades after some of these bands existed, and so there's a whole new crop of people that are in their teenage years, their early 20s, and their 30s that are looking for these bands to sort of latch onto, and they might still have the nostalgia factor with some of those other bands, but Lorna Shore has reached the point of popularity and success and recognition that Will Ramos is such a likable person to just latch on that sort of parasocial relationship to. It's hard not to be infected by his humor, by his wit, by his funniness, and that is an appealing thing for a lot of people. And I talked about this in my video about Electric Callboy. I think a lot of times the genre does take itself very seriously, and that's perfectly fine, but when you have an artist that plays a very serious type of music with serious lyrics and a very heavy sound that is contrasted by being this pretty much like golden retriever energy, that is a funny contrast. It's a lot like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, who is one of the most famous frontmen from death metal, along with like Jeff Becerra and Chuck Schuldiner and those type of people, or like Barney Greenway, who's more grindcore, I guess. But you really latch onto these people who are not what you expect, and kind of like Chuck Schuldiner was a very humble and nice dude who was connected to his community, and Corpse Grinder is a big fucking gigantic like 12 fucking foot giraffe neck like Goliath. He is a teddy bear, and it's not hard to see that Will Ramos is not only a very humble dude who has not let any sort of like ego get to his head, he also is just really enjoying it, and you can tell that he is living up every bit of the fame, and he enjoys connecting with his fan base, and he enjoys going on these interviews, and he captures so much energy, and it's hard not to like feel that. I think another reason is kind of the bandwagon effect. Lorna Shore, without a doubt, are one of the most popular, if not the most popular, metal bands that have come in recent memory and blown up. They are definitely up there. You could have not touched the acclaim that To the Hellfire got, or the amount of reactions that were attached to that, people freaking freak the fuck out. And a lot of people didn't think that after the CJ McCreery era, myself included, Lorna Shore was going to be able to come back from that or find a frontman that was able to transcend that. And I think Lorna Shore did the rare thing of transcending the genre, where a band that is so heavy and so off the beaten path for a lot of people's musical tastes that might not be into it, and it's being put in front of the eyes of people who wouldn't typically hear it. They're kind of getting this cult of personality built around them when it builds more hype, and it's like a snowball effect. The more popular you get, the more people are going to listen to you, and the more people that listen to you, the more it's going to get put in front of people that wouldn't have heard it otherwise. So I think naturally just the popularity of Lorna Shore and the sheer numbers that they have been doing are going to naturally sort of make this effect where more people are going to attach to the lead vocalist because of who he is. I know people probably won't want to admit this, but I do think look matters. Signature, like ramen noodle hair as I like to call it, his spacers, all of his tattoos, his demeanor, he definitely fits a certain look that makes him unique. A lot of vocalists in metal can kind of blend together in what they look like, and it's one reason that Oliver Sykes sort of had this cult of personality built around him, so much so that there were tens of thousands of kids emulating his style because he had a very signature style. It's the same reason that people attach to like all these K-pop artists that have a very specific look, or attach to someone like Billie Eilish because she has a very specific look. When you look at Oliver Sykes, if I ask you, what does he look like? You can describe what he looks like. He has very signature ways of dressing, of talking, of acting, of hairstyles, and it can change over time, yeah, but when something is unique and stands out from the crowd, you're gonna be able to remember that more than some big buff dude in a wife beater or a band shirt with like jeans or cargo shorts on, a bat cap, and long ass hair screaming for like metal band number 150. And that may sound harsh, but I genuinely just think that is a big reason. I gotta say, vocals, everyone is always going to be interested in the shock factor, and it's just whether or not you're willing to admit it or not. People love to hear some gnarly vocals and vocals that make them make a stink face or surprise them, and to be able to be in an era where everything is upping the ante of the loudness war and pushing the envelope of what vocals are capable of and what metal vocalists are capable of, to have a person that is able to sort of transcend that distinction and always change up and make something sound even crazier. It's a lot like Alex Terrible from Slaughter to Prevail. I would put them very much side by side in terms of the vocal department, and I don't think this is the biggest reason people like Will Ramos, but I think it's a reason. But what are your opinions on Will Ramos and Lorna Shore as a whole? Do you like them? Do you not? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.